Before you get started, prepare your workspace. Tape and glue, the samples you made last week, and a selection of papers or textured surfaces such as cardboard will be really useful here. Have a look around your house and collect what you can in a tray like this. Have a look at some of the shapes that you've been working on over the past few weeks. You have taken these shapes, created patterns with them, and even begun to apply them around the head or neck. In our box today we've got some tin foil, we have an old packet of crisps, some paper straws, some old cardboard that we've separated into two bits, and even some sandpaper. So really many things that you can find around your house. We're going to turn this into this. You can see some paper folding, some scoring, and just a nice collection, a swatch if you like, of textural surfaces, materials, and some of your techniques that are all linked to your building. To begin with, inspect your building and look for shapes and textures and colours. Then have a look at the box of found objects that you've collected, looking for cardboard, for example, or textured paper or coloured card, or even paper straws that you think link to what you've seen as a characteristic of your building. Now simply cut out sections of these materials that you can use as samples. Hopefully you should be able to see a definite link between what you've cut and your building. We are even going to add to this set of samples by using our folding technique with a little bit of red sandpaper here to try and suggest these lines that we see in the Scottish Parliament building. In this example, we are going to use squared paper as a background. This could be any sort of paper that you have available to you. And we've got some black sandpaper here. This might be a textured cardboard or some other type of material that you think suits. And as you can see, we are going to cut some strips and just simply lay them on top of a different sort of paper to create a nice contrast and strong dynamic link to the building you've got in front of you. In this case, we're looking at the Finnieston crane and the ironwork and steelwork of the structure that you can see. Here is one we have made up using white straws, painted black or coloured black, and laid on sandpaper. In this example, we are going to use double-sided tape, or if you want, glue, like Pritt Stick. And we are going to cover the back of a piece of card with some sort of glue. Once we've done this, we can peel off and then stick white straws, and this might be cuts of cardboard or something else that's quite rigid, or it might even be wool or thread or string, and we are going to cut these, place them down onto the sticky side of the card to create ridges. And you can see that this would link quite strongly to the roof of the Riverside Museum. Once we've done that, and we're going to put them on straight here, but you could create shapes or different sorts of lines. And once you have what we would call a relief, so a raised up area on your piece of card, you can take tin foil or really any other sort of surface material, as long as it's thin enough, and after a little smoothing out, we can place that directly on top, and it will actually stick to the card and go around the string. As you can see here, it will create little ridges where the string is, which again is a strong visual characteristic of the Riverside Museum and its roof. Here we are going to cut another section of card, and this time cover it with glue, and then add a metal background, like tin foil in this case. This might be a shiny paper or a coloured paper if it is more appropriate to your building. Make sure it's stuck. Fold in the back so that it is nice and neat, and then instead of sticking onto this, we are actually going to now begin to fold this piece so that it looks or takes on the characteristics of the building in question. As you can see now, we have a number of little samples that are quite strongly linked to the building of our choice. What we're going to do here is take a paper straw and carefully fold it into a frame. You can even tuck in the part where they join. We are going to shorten the overlap here. Squeeze that little bit down and then insert that into the other part of the straw, which should create a nice strong framework. These could be multiple versions of this or even interlocking ones. And here what we're going to do is add, in this case we have blue string or wool, and we're going to actually wind it round the framework, looping it so that it stays in place, and then create what we would know as a lattice of crisscrossing string or wire, like so. Here is an example of what you might end up with at the end of this. Please note, some of these are simply cut samples of relevant textured surfaces. There are also scored and folded examples, and we've done a number of different samples making little sections using straws and cut paper to create little three-dimensional surfaces. It's important that you experiment and have fun. Remember to photograph everything you've done and send it in as evidence of your work.